Justice on Maple Street. It was a warm September evening in Birmingham, Alabama, when the world tilted for Evelyn Carter. She was 72, a woman of quiet faith, standing outside her church, clutching her worn Bible and a thin wooden cane. The air was thick with the scent of magnolias, but trouble was brewing. Blue and red lights flashed across the street, where two police cars had boxed in a rusty sedan. Evelyn didn't mean to get involved, but what happened next would shake the city to its core, and it all started with one phone call. Evelyn had just left the women's group at First Hope Baptist, where she'd sung hymns and shared peach cobbler for 43 years. Her friend, Miss Clara Jenkins, was supposed to drive her home, but Evelyn lingered on the church steps, her beige Sunday hat tilted slightly. At 6:12 p.m., she noticed the commotion. Officers were yelling at a young driver, barely 19, his hands shaking as he tried to follow their conflicting orders. "Hands out the window." Then, "Get out now." The boy froze, and Evelyn's heart stirred. "Y'all be careful now," she called softly, like a grandmother soothing a storm. That was her mistake. One officer, a wiry young man named Officer James Harlan, badge 6543, spun toward her. "Back up, ma'am," he barked, striding closer. Evelyn stood her ground. "I'm just on the church steps, son. Ain't both Aaron nobody." Her voice was calm, but Harlan's wasn't. "I said move." Evelyn, her knees stiff from arthritis, smiled faintly. "I'm 72, child. My legs don't move that fast." Then it happened too quick for anyone to process. Harlan grabbed her cane, yanked it hard, and Evelyn stumbled. Her foot caught the pavement, her body crumpled, and her head struck the curb with a sickening crack. Her hat rolled into the dirt, her Bible slapped the ground, and the crowd gasped. A teenager across the street caught it all on video, 47 seconds of raw truth. The footage wasn't shaky, it was steady, haunting. Evelyn lay motionless, one hand twitching, as voices cried out. "Why'd y'all do that?" She didn't do nothing. Someone shouted for an ambulance, but Evelyn's raspy voice cut through the chaos. "Let me make one call," she said, firm as steel. "Just one." The officers hesitated, probably thinking it wouldn't matter. They didn't know who she was calling. Her son, Marcus Carter, answered on the second ring. "Hey, Mama." Whatever Evelyn said in that brief call, it changed everything. Marcus, a quiet man in his late 40s, stood in his small Texas home, staring out the window. The ceiling fan spun lazily, but the air felt heavy. He didn't ask questions. "All right," he said, and hung up. Within minutes, he'd grabbed a duffel bag, tossed in two phones, a USB drive, and a sealed folder, and was speeding east on I-20 in his pickup truck. No one in his small town knew much about Marcus. He fixed fences, donated to the school, and kept to himself. What they didn't know was that Marcus wasn't just a veteran had been dealt a force, with 12 deployments across 4 continents, missions that left no trace. He'd left that life behind, or so he thought. By 11 p.m., Marcus crossed into Mississippi, his jaw set. He made one call, not to a friend, but to a contact labeled Raven. A gravelly voice answered. "I need a badge number," Marcus said. "Birmingham PD, officer at a traffic stop outside First Hope Baptist, 6 to 7 p.m. badge 6543. Laid hands on my mother." A pause. "I'll send it in an hour." Marcus's voice tightened. "Not enough. I need everything: records, priors, complaints. Encrypted, my private inbox." The line went dead. By Alabama, the file arrived. Officer James Harlan, 2 years on the force, transferred from Anniston PD after a hushed misconduct probe. Marcus didn't flinch. He just stored the data and kept driving. At 3 a.m., he slipped into the hospital through a loading dock, avoiding the ER buzz. The night nurse glanced up. "Evelyn Carter, where is she?" he asked, voice low. "Room 204, West Wing." "Stable." Marcus was already moving. In her room, Evelyn lay awake, a bandage on her temple and 4 in her arm, but her eyes were sharp. "Hey, baby," she whispered. He kissed her forehead, pulled a chair close, and sat silently for a moment. "You all right?" he asked. She nodded. "Could have been worse." Marcus took her hand. "I'm gonna fix this." Evelyn didn't argue. "You sure?" she asked. "Yes, ma'am," he said, and she knew he meant it. By sunrise, Marcus stood where it happened, on the cracked pavement outside First Hope Baptist. He'd watched the video 6 times, memorizing every angle, every move. Pastor William Hayes brought him coffee. She's resting? The pastor asked. Yeah, Marcus replied, eyeing a crooked utility pole camera across the street. That thing work. The pastor laughed bitterly. Only when they want it to. Marcus nodded. I'll find out. He drove to the Birmingham PD South Precinct, a squat brick building wedged between a pawn shop and an auto parts store. Inside, he didn't raise his voice. I need the watch commander. Harlan incident, last night. The desk officer blinked. Sir, I'm not sure. Marcus leaned in. Get him. Now. 10 minutes later, Lieutenant Daniel Brooks appeared, broad-shouldered, all business. You're the son? He asked. Marcus didn't shake his offered hand. Your officer assaulted my mother. No report filed, no footage logged. That's not a review. That's a cover-up. Brooks frowned. We're looking into it. Marcus slid him a printed video transcript. Your guy took a cane from a 72-year-old woman and put her in the hospital. Look harder. Brooks's jaw tightened. There's a process. Marcus cut him off. I've seen warlords lie smoother than your department. Tell Harlan not to delete his phone. If files go missing, I'll subpoena his cloud myself. He left Brooks silent, but Marcus wasn't just making noise. He'd already sent the video to 4 encrypted drives and 2 trusted lawyers. By afternoon, he was back at Evelyn's bedside, mapping officer call logs. One text, sent right after the incident, went to a private number Marcus didn't recognize. He'd trace it soon. Then came a knock. Sergeant Laura Daniels, Internal Affairs, sharp-eyed and all procedure. I'm reviewing the incident, she said. Marcus didn't stand. You here for accountability? She hesitated. I follow procedure. Marcus's voice was ice. Your procedures protected Harlan a year ago. I've seen his record. We're not talking. Daniels tried again. File a complaint. Cooperate. Marcus stepped closer. That's how you bury this. He walks, and 6 months later, he's hurting someone else's mother. Daniels left, but Marcus was already moving. That night, in a dusty diner booth, Marcus opened his laptop, pulling files from a private archive he'd built after 2 mini-stories like his mother's. Badge records, sealed complaints, internal transfers. They painted a pattern. He sent an email to 3 news desks, attaching the video, transcript, and a timeline. No name, just facts. Then he called an old contact, Hawk. I need eyes on Birmingham, Marcus said. Hawk chuckled. Still no small talk. Marcus didn't laugh. Can you help? The line got serious. Gimme Galloway and Terrell. Now. Click. By nightfall, Galloway and Terrell, ex-military with skills that never faded, were en route. Galloway, with his legal know-how and slight limp from '08, handled comms. Terrell, a tech wizard, brought laptops and a Wi-Fi interceptor. In a motel room, they got to work. PD's network is 5 blocks away, Marcus said. Listen only. No hacks. Terrell grinned. Copy that. They found it fast. A confidential email from the deputy chief, ordering officers to lock down body cams and coordinate statements. Galloway cursed. They're circling wagons. Marcus's eyes narrowed. Then we burn the wagons. They built a chain of evidence officer histories, falsified logs, and a medic's omitted report. At midnight, Marcus sent it to a DC journalist who owed him from Kandahar. The reply was quick. I'm on the 6 a.m. flight. By morning, posters appeared citywide, black and white stills of Evelyn on the pavement, with text, Ask Birmingham PD why this woman's in the hospital. They were simple, taped to bus stops, pinned to barbershops. The department stayed silent, and that silence lit the fuse. By noon, the precinct's phones were swamped. Community leaders demanded answers. Reporters dug for records. Someone inside leaked Harlan's original report, claiming Evelyn was aggressive and obstructing. Terrell read it aloud, disgusted. She's 5 feet 2 inches, 72, with a cane. Marcus didn't react, just called the ER nurse, Wanda. Was Mama aggressive when they brought her in? Wanda scoffed. No, baby. She was scared, blood pressure through the roof. Marcus got her statement on record. That evening, a crowd gathered outside the precinct, holding signs, some with Evelyn's photo, others with canes. Evelyn herself stood among them, frail but unyielding. I'm not the first, she said softly. But if I help the next woman, I'll stand till my legs give out. The applause was quiet, resolute. Inside, a young officer whispered, her kid's ex-special ops. He's tearing through our records. That night, a local reporter, Mia Torres, went live, calm but cutting, An elderly woman hurt, a department dodging, and a son who won't quit. The cracks widened. Anonymous tips flooded in dispatchers, clerks, ex-cops. One pointed to sealed complaints against Harlan. Another revealed hidden body cam footage. The biggest came from a woman, Kay, once engaged to a sergeant. She had his tablet synced to the department cloud, with raw video of Harlan yanking Evelyn's king. "Tell her I'm sorry no one stepped in," Kay said, handing it over in a park. Terrell uploaded it to 6 journalists. By midnight, it had 312,000 views. The city was angry, and anger demanded action. At 8:02 a.m., Marcus walked into the precinct with a hard drive and witness statements. Lieutenant Brooks met him, flanked by a frazzled PR officer. "Now's not the time," Brooks said. Marcus didn't blink. "It's exactly the time." In a conference room, the video played Devlin's fall, Harlan's lie, clear as day. Silence followed. Marcus spoke. "Your officer lied. Your report's fiction. You tried to bury a woman who taught 3rd grade and sang in choir." Brooks sighed. "You're right. There's no defending this." Marcus leaned in. "Then don't. Suspend Harlan. No pay, full investigation. Public apology to my mother, face to face. Release the body cam. Reopen every sealed use of force case from the last 3 years." Brooks rubbed his face. "You have 24 hours, Marcus said, and left. That evening, Harlan, nervous and scripted, stood in Evelyn's hospital room. "I'm sorry for the harm, Mrs. Carter. It wasn't my intent." Evelyn stared, unyielding. "You didn't mean to, but you did." He looked away. She didn't. The department announced Harlan's suspension, the chief resigned, and 3 officers were placed on leave. An independent review board was formed. But Marcus wasn't done. He took a dossier of 5 buried cases to City Hall, laying it out for Councilwoman Sarah Monroe. "This isn't one officer," he said. "It's a culture." She nodded. "What if we don't act?" Marcus's voice was steady. "Federal complaints, national media, lawsuits for every victim I find. And I'll find them." Outside, a crowd held candles, photos of their mothers. Evelyn's story wasn't just hers anymore. 3 weeks later, she walked out of the hospital, cane tapping, and climbed into Marcus's truck. "You good?" he asked. "Better than I was," she said. At her yellow house, neighbors had swept the porch, stocked her freezer, and painted her mailbox. A note from Clara read, "Thank you for standing tall, even on the ground." Evelyn smiled. Inside, she read letters from strangers' prayers, stories, names signed like votes to be counted. That Sunday, they returned to First Hope Baptist. Pastor Hayes escorted Evelyn to her pew. A woman, Ruth, approached Marcus. "You didn't shout, but you made us see," she said. "That's power." Marcus stayed quiet. Later, on Evelyn's porch, she handed him coffee. "They still calling you?" she asked. "Some," he said. "Families, lawyers." A woman's daughter lost her hearing from a cop's shove. "No apology." Evelyn nodded. "You'll help her?" "Already did," he said. She looked at the street. "The world forgets fast." Marcus shook his head. "They didn't forget you." Evelyn's eyes softened. "I was lucky." Marcus met her gaze. "You were right." The city promised reforms, but Marcus kept watch, notebook filled with new cases. He wasn't a hero, just a son who refused to look away. Evelyn's call had sparked a reckoning, proving one voice, backed by truth, could shift a city. The system bent, not because it wanted to, but because it had no choice. What do you think? Was Marcus's fight worth it, or did he push too far? How would you handle systemic injustice in your community? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Let's talk about violence, accountability, and what it takes to make a difference. Your voice matters.